The battle between the Revolutionary Army and the Holy Knights has been foreshadowed for years. Dragon himself has been waiting for their move, and now that Shamrock and Gunko have appeared in Elbaf, the war is about to begin. But the question remains, why was Dragon waiting for the Holy Knights? Why didn't he attack the world government directly? Let's start. The Holy Knights are the true enforcers of the Celestial Dragons. They are the ones who protect the world's power structure, eliminating rebels before they can even rise. Taking them down isn't just a battle, it's the key to revolution. Chapter 1138 was one of the most informative chapters in the entire series. It revealed a mural that described the entire One Piece lore, Loki's involvement, and Shamrock's three-headed Cerberus sword. But while most people focused on these massive reveals, there was still one small detail that many overlooked. Something that hints at the Holy Knights' true strategy. After leaving Loki behind, the leader of the Holy Knights mentioned that they needed to change their approach. Their next move? Capturing the children of the giants. But why target children? Shamrock then requested summoning another Holy Knight. Logically, if two Holy Knights, one of whom is stated to be the strongest, are not enough to complete this mission, then adding a third wouldn't change much, unless this new Holy Knight possesses a unique ability or devil fruit power. This is where the connection to mythology becomes clear. There's an old German folktale about Pied Piper of Hamelin. According to legend, the Pied Piper played a mystical flute that lured children away from their homes, leading them into the mountains, never to be seen again. This story is said to be based on real historical events involving mass migration. Strangely enough, Oda titled this chapter Mountain Eater, which could be a reference not only to Skapar but to both the Piper legend and the upcoming events in Elbaf as well. The eerie similarities don't stop there. In the late 1960s, a sci-fi show called Land of the Giants featured an episode titled The Pied Piper, in which the character used his abilities to lure people away. Now, imagine if the Holy Knights had a member with a power similar to the Pied Pipers. Not someone who simply takes hostages with brute force, but someone who hypnotizes them, leading them away willingly. And what better time for this to happen than during a festival, a moment of celebration when no one would expect danger. This ability doesn't even have to come from a devil fruit. In One Piece, we have already seen hypnotists like Django who could control people through his swinging pendulum. If a simple hypnotist could manipulate groups of people, imagine how powerful a Holy Knight with an advanced form of this ability would be. Now let's talk about the wild card, Skapar. His child is a giant, which ties him directly into this conflict. If the Holy Knights successfully capture the children of Elbaf, including Gaban's child, he would have no choice but to enter the fight. And if he is truly known as the Mountain Eater, this could be the moment we finally see his real strength. Before I continue discussing this storyline, I want to mention that the commanders of the Revolutionary Army hold the key to understanding why the fight will take place at Elbaf and not later in the story. These four commanders, Karasu, Belobedi, Morley, and Lindbergh, were introduced in chapter 904, 2 chapters before Imu was revealed. If the theory about the statues representing the Holy Knights is true, then we can say that the commanders of the Revolutionary Army and the Holy Knights were revealed together. Even if this theory is incorrect, it's clear that the Reverie arc was the time when Oda was planning the entire Revolutionary Army storyline. So what do these commanders tell us? The commander of the Western Army and the Revolutionary Army is Morley, a giant and a newcomer. Oda rarely creates characters without a deeper meaning, and Morley is no exception. I'm sure he'll have one of the best storylines, and I'll explain why. Elbaf is based on Viking culture, which values strength, honor, and masculinity. Traditional Viking warriors followed a strict warrior code, so Morley's personality and Okama identity might not be taken seriously at first. The giants might mock or underestimate her, believing she's weak or unworthy of being a warrior. Some warriors, especially the older giants, might see her as an embarrassment to their race, because she doesn't fit the mold of a typical Elbaf warrior. However, younger giants might be more open-minded and intrigued by Morley's uniqueness. Despite any initial prejudice, the giants respect strength above all else. Morley has a bounty of 293 million berries and possesses a powerful devil fruit, the Oshi Oshi no Mi, a paramecia-type devil fruit that allows her to push and mold the ground as if it were made of clay. If Morley demonstrates her strength, the giants will be forced to acknowledge her. Through Morley's character, Oda will be able to explore important life lessons such as the idea that people should live as they want, not as society expects them to, and that a person's value is not determined by their appearance or behavior. The next commander, Karasu, ate the Susu no Mi, a Logia-type devil fruit that allows him to create, control, and transform his body into soot at will. Among his various abilities, each of his crows is capable of carrying an average-sized person on its back. We've already seen some something similar at Elbaf. Gunko can use her devil fruit's arrows to form flying creatures, one of which closely resembles a bird. We saw her and Shamrock flying on it. I believe Karasu versus Gunko would be a perfect matchup. Now let's return to the third Holy Knight's powers and move on to the other commanders of the Revolutionary Army. If the Holy Knights have a member who can manipulate people through a mysterious ability, the Revolutionary Army have a counter to this power. Bello Betty, the wielder of the Kobu Kobu no Mi. Her devil fruit allows her to encourage and rally people, instantly turning helpless individuals into fearless warriors. Now imagine the battle unfolding in Elbaf. Skopper Gaban, exhausted and bloodied, is fighting against Shamrock, Gunko, and the third Holy Knight. He's at the brink of death because he's not as strong as he was in his prime. The giant children remain under hypnosis, powerless to fight back. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, a sudden shift occurs. Suddenly, everything changes. The hypnotized children wake up, their eyes filled with anger. Their strength returns, and they start fighting back against the Holy Knights. At that moment, Bello Betty and the entire Revolutionary Army reveal themselves. Dragon, Sabo, Ivankov, and more. Bello Betty's power is effective enough that she was able to turn the scared, helpless citizens of the Lelusia Kingdom into a fighting force strong enough to successfully beat back the invading Peachbeard pirates with only sticks, so it will help the children to break out of the hypnosis as well. The Holy Knights will find themselves outnumbered, but they will not back down easily. Just as Bello Betty's power turns the tide, the Holy Knights will summon more reinforcements. That's when the real war begins. But where did the Straw Hats fit into all of this? Strangely enough, they might not be directly involved in this battle at all. Looking back at some of One Piece's greatest arcs, Marineford, Sabaody, the Enies Lobby, one thing is clear. The best arcs are the ones that start with uncertainty. That's why these three arcs are people's favorites. At Marineford, we knew war was coming, but we didn't know how it would unfold. At Sabaody, we were introduced to 12 powerful supernovas. Their roles were unclear, and suddenly everything changed when Kizaru and Kuma appeared. In Enies Lobby, the biggest plot twist came out of nowhere. We were introduced to CP9, and we saw Straw Hats 1v1 fights for the first time. Elbaf is shaping up the same way. The Straw Hats aren't the ones being hunted this time. They were welcomed with open arms by the Giants. There's no obvious villain for them to fight yet. We still don't know Loki's true role, whether he's an ally or a hidden enemy. We also don't know if other major players like Eustace Kid, Shanks, or even Blackbeard will arrive on the island. Everything is uncertain, and that's what makes this arc so exciting. This is why Elbaf will likely be divided into multiple storylines. One will focus on the Straw Hats and Loki, while another will revolve around the Revolutionary Army's war against the Holy Knights. Eventually, these two storylines will collide, leading to one of the most awaited moments in the entire series. Luffy finally meeting his father, Dragon. Maybe this battle will eventually turn into the final war. Perhaps at the very end of the arc, Dragon will clash with Figurlin Garling, a fight between two fathers, both with their own ideals. And Luffy will take on Shamrock, leading to a battle between two sons. But for now, that remains speculation. The outcomes and matchups are nearly impossible to predict, but for these reasons, I believe this fight will take place in Elbaf rather than later in the story. One thing is absolutely certain. We are about to witness some of the greatest fights in the entire series. The Holy Knights cannot be weak. They're the strongest warriors serving the world government, second only to the Gorosei, and with at least 9 of them, their power is undeniable. The weakest Holy Knight should be at least on the level of a 2nd Division commander. That's the absolute bare minimum for a group that enforces justice across the world. Their leader is Shanks' twin brother after all. If Shanks alone is considered one of the strongest pirates alive, imagine what his brother is capable of. This battle won't just be another clash, it will be an all-out war that shakes the very foundation of the One Piece world. Amid all these epic events, another mystery will also be revealed. Dragon's Devil Fruit. If you want to learn more about this topic, you can watch this video right here. Thanks for watching. Bye!